line splits is 2 feet.
About 2 feet. Yeah. That's how I would start off with is 2 feet. If you can widen them, widen them. But I mean, 2 feet's a good starting point.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we can get them to go any wider than that and actually play space.
It's scary at first, believe me. It is. I know what you're thinking. Because you're thinking this
Yeah,
is going to leave a wide open space for a linebacker just to blitz right through. We can't even do anything about it. But they do react to you spreading out like that. They do.
okay. So and wide receivers are 7 yards.
Slots are 7 yards off the tackles. Yeah. If you have if you have markers on the field, usually typically I would have my if you have markings on the field, typically I would have the slots basically just line up on the hashes if you're in the middle of the field. And then basically to make it easy for those kids, just right at the numbers, for the outside guys. If you're in the middle of the field, of course.
Right. So on the hash,
Yep.
if you're on the hash, so where do you have them line up then?
Also, if you're on the hash,
Yeah, the
you like
boundary side.
you're like a 2x2 set on the hash.
Yeah.
On the left hash, the left receiver would probably be at the top of the numbers. The slot receiver, I'm trying to remember my measurements here. Slot receiver would probably be would be like that 7 to 5 yards off the tackle. So they'd be close. Slot receiver on the right side is basically right in the middle of the field, and then outside receiver is almost at the hash.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't have numbers, how do you do that?
Well, then I just go back to the measurements. Kind of just eyeball it as far as 7 yards. Obviously, they're going to get a little bit closer at the hash mark there. It's really just, I mean, when you're in the hashes, it's really an eyeball thing, especially at the boundary.
Okay. All right. So
if you want to, if there are no numbers and you're on a game field and there are no numbers, what I would do is that outside receiver 5 yards from the sideline.
Outside receiver. Okay. Okay.
And after a while, obviously the first couple of days you start telling them to do that, they'll be like, I don't know what 5 yards looks like. But as you do it more and more, they eventually, it's almost like muscle memory. They can kind of eyeball. Now, obviously, it's not going to be exact or anything like that, but it's going to be pretty close.
Right. Right. Okay. So, do you typically just zone block everything inside zone?
Inside zone, I do, but I mean, the different runs that I've ran, counters one, traps done, we've done power. So I mean, inside zone is, that's basic zone blocking. Yeah.
Okay. How many different blocking schemes do you usually have in a year?
Really, honestly, the most runs I've carried is 3. That's the most I've carried.
So
my last year of head coaching, I carried 2. I carried an outside zone and I carried an inside zone. And then eventually I switched the outside zone to counter. Once the boys got a little bit more comfortable running counter, because that was not one of the first ones I installed. But we put it in and then it kept looking better and better. And I wasn't exactly happy with our outside zone or our stretch play. So I just kind of just switched to, we're just going to drop outside zone and we'll put in counter. I'm a firm believer that you need an outside run and an inside run. However, I'm also a believer too that the screen game is just an extension of your run game, especially if if you get out there quick enough and you have time and space, then it's just basically just an outside run for you.
Right. So do you read everything backside of your runs?
Not in middle school. Not in middle school.
Okay.
And the only reason I didn't, I would if I had more time. Like, say, for example, I told you about that coach up in North Carolina who had workouts in June.
Mm-hmm.
If I had those extra 2 weeks that I could just sit there and rep that a little bit more to teach the read and to teach the mesh point of it, then I would have them read it. But basically what we did is when I would call it, my other coach, he would basically just watch that backside defensive end.
Oh, okay.
Kind of just telling me, hey, he's doing this, this is he basically just let me know what he's doing, and I would obviously remember that and come back to it. Sometimes we would never call the pool read. Sometimes we'd call it quite a bit. So
Okay.
it really just depended on what they did. And a lot of times those kids that age, all of a sudden they say, hey, I'm unblocked. They're gonna make a mad dash and try and make a play in the backfield. So you just take advantage of that aggressiveness.
Right. Right. Okay. I see.
It basically was just a tag. So like we would call like for example, to give you, because I was all no huddle. I don't know what you want to do or how you want to do it, but my no huddle would be, I would wear wristbands, and blue would signify the plays to the left side, red would signify. So I would, if I get it to whatever hand, they knew what side I was going to. So I would go ace, for 2x2, inside zone left, and then I would do a salute. That meant the salute would mean that the quarterback keeps it. And that was my whole play call.
Huh. Okay.
And so if I did it with the right, then that would be inside zone right. If I had my red wristband on my right hand,
Okay.
and that was just me. That was something I learned. I mean, we can get into that part of it later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Play calling.
Yeah. I definitely got to get into that later. So as you go through and you start teaching pass pro, so you guys vertical set.
Vertical sets.
Yeah, I have looked and I can't find anything that's going to give you a good idea of what and how to teach vertical set.
It's go and watch the best video that I've seen. You might have to go scour Lasker's YouTube channel, but he had a video with him, Shane Dular, and Chris Napier.
Okay.
And, Shane Dular just stole the show as far as offensive lineman stuff, and he said a quote that I love, and it was basically just teach the offensive lineman to essentially get ran over slowly.
What?
Yeah, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're getting run over slowly. So they it's hard to really explain, but they're gonna pop out and they're gonna lead with that back foot. Almost like a backward skip. That makes sense. So but obviously they have to, their feet, they're coming backwards. That's when they say vertical, they're going backwards. They're not going side to side. It's backwards.
Okay.
Backwards. And it's almost like a backward. The way I call it is like a backward skip, and you're kind of leading with that back leg. So, for example, a left tackle, he's going to lead with that left leg because he's following the defensive end, but he's skipping, trying to keep his feet underneath him and going wherever that defensive end goes.
Kind of almost like kick slide.
Pretty much.
Oh.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I don't know how to, because I'm not I will admit I'm not an offense line guru. So that's how I explained it to my guys. And really for me, what I told them to is just do not get beat in 1.5 to 2 seconds. That's it.
Okay.
Hold your block for 1.5 to 2 seconds. And if the quarterback gets sacked after that, it's not on you. It's the quarterback's fault.
Okay.
So the number one thing that I taught my offensive linemen, though, this is before vertical sets, is before run scheming, is we always had a simple rule that we said inside, head up, outside. And what that meant is we always protect our inside first.
Right.
Always. So so they were taught that when they came to the line, their head was up, not down. And they're recognizing where the alignment is their blitz showing, okay, and they had to understand, okay, where's my number one responsibility right now. And so what we would do in practice is we would take a 10-minute period, maybe even a 5-minute period, and we'd come have the offensive lineman come up, have the entire offense come up, and we would call out a play and say, what's your job? And we wouldn't ask every single 11 of them, right? But we'd say, what are you doing? Or what are you doing? Running back, what are you doing, right guard?
Okay.
And they have to be able to tell us that.
All right.
And then if they can tell us that, they know that we know that they know, and then we have more confidence in them executing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Kind of gotta know your assignment.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And see what we try to do is keep it as simple as possible. I mean, I think I had at most 15 plays that I ran.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. At
Okay.
most. I would put a few little packages in here, just add a couple little wrinkles, but the base offense was no more than 15 plays.
Okay. That's good.
So, and then we were able to rep, and eventually you see. I've said in one of my previous videos, you all of a sudden see that magic light bulb come on, where the first few practices are going to be like, oh my god, we suck. And then all of a sudden it just clicks and you're like, whoa, okay, where'd this come from?
All
So
right.
you'd be surprised, and it's amazing how quick they pick it up too. So as long as you just stay consistent with it, you trust the process, and you are just the big thing, especially with the air raid, is how well you manage your time in practice, how well you have that practice set up.
Okay.
The practice needs to be set up to where you can maximize as many repetitions as you can.
Right. I
Because
think I remember you guys.
the whole philosophy behind it is we may not necessarily have the biggest, fastest guys, but what we're going to do is we're just going to simply out execute you because we know we're doing so well. Because we've worked on it so many times. That's the whole philosophy behind it. It's not a set of, I'm sure you heard this in 1,000 videos. It's not a set of plays. It's not, this and that. It's basically just a philosophy that we're just going to straight up out execute you.
Right. Yeah. And I was watching some of the videos and how you guys set up your 3-day install and everything. That was really interesting.
Yeah,
So I've never seen anything like that before. But yeah.
Mine actually, I mean, since I would turn it into a 4-day, and just so you don't feel so rushed. Now you kind of your time kind of sounded a lot like mine, where I had 12 practices, including tryouts. And I think we talked about this last night. So I really had to micromanage everything. So
yeah, and that's tough. Offense, defense, special teams.
Yeah.
So did you guys go offense, defense on the same day, or did you offense one day, defense the next?
You talking about like in season or when we started?
Before season. So
when we
up to your first game.
When we first started, basically outside of maybe a couple things like those first 2 days during tryouts.
Yeah.
Outside of a few little defensive drills there, it was the first 4 days was nothing but offense. I mean, I hammered in, especially if I wanted to get that install. So I started hammering in offense and stuff. I put in, drills that I knew I was going to be using every day, especially with the skill guys for example, like settle a noose.
Right.
Put that drill in right away, put routes on air right away, put pat and go in right away. Those 3 drills right there are drills that, because every practice I would open up with, before I even got out there, they were doing settle a noose. And then whenever I got out there, they immediately went into pat and go, and then the linemen were doing their thing. So those are drills that I was setting up because I knew that those 3 drills especially are the ones I was going to use the most every day. And those are your EDDs, your everyday drills.
Right.
And so like vertical sets and firing out of stances, hitting the sled for the linemen, those 2 drills we used every single day. So they knew that they would boom, 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 go to that. And then once we established that, I think we established that on day 2. We went through all that stuff. And then even during tryouts, they went right into it and said, nope, you're going right here. This is what you're doing. So, but then after we got our team, we made cuts. I think like the day 5 or whatever it was, we still started off with offensive stuff. We kind of just did like a rehash of everything real fast, kind of just went through formations real fast, because these were, now I had my team. So I went through the format, and then we went immediately into a defensive install, and then basically repeated what I did. Then day 6, I think I have to go back and remember. Day 6 was right back to almost like day 1 of install. Like, okay, we're doing 4 verts, we're doing this, we're repping, rep. And then day 2, and then what I did is I that third day I would mix in, okay, now half the practice is gonna be defensive stuff. And so then I started intertwining defense. So once we got into actual season, basically the way we would play on Thursdays. So Monday's practice would essentially be all offense a day. Tuesday was typically a defensive first day. Now, middle school, me personally, and I've been successful with this, just fine with it. I never really needed a full day for defense. Maybe one practice to install it. Maybe not the whole practice, but a good chunk of it just to install the base stuff and some of the blitz packages.
Right.
But never really needed a full on, defensive day. I never needed it. And then Wednesday would be special teams. We'd start off with special teams. And then mainly it was kind of like a walkthrough kind of scouting stuff because we played on Thursdays. Typically on Fridays we didn't practice, so we really had a 3-day practice week.
Oh wow. Huh.
Okay.
Now
if there was something I really felt like we needed to work on, then we would practice on Fridays. But once the season got going and we started doing really well, kind of giving Fridays off just so they go watch the high school football.
Okay. Yeah, our practices are. We can go 4 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
But one of those practices has to be helmets only.
Right.
So, of course, you can lose a defensive day there. I mean,
yeah.
But you can still tackle without pads. So, the hawk roll tackling thing.
Yeah, go through all the heads up tackling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we can do that. So yeah, vertical sets. So how do you block for quick game? Does your offensive line, are you always faking a run in quick game or
no? I mean, I never really used play action.
No? Okay.
No. And you talking about are you also referring to like RPOs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really do any RPOs in middle school. Didn't really need to. Only thing I take that back. I did do a little bit of play action. Once I installed my jet sweep, I would put tags into it. So for example, a lot of what I like to do, and this is just an example, like when I would run the jet sweep, some coaches like to have the running back as the lead blocker, right? Flying out with them. Me personally, what I would like to do is put the running back opposite, and either I'm handing off the jet and faking the zone behind it, or I'm faking the jet and handing the jet and faking the zone.
Right.
And so I like to create that misdirection because a lot of times, especially in middle school, that motion that runs across, that's like eye candy.
Yeah.
And you will have so many kids just watching that zone fly by, and all of a sudden, boom, there's the hole for the zone on the backside.
Okay.
You've already got 4 or 5 linebackers just laterally moving towards the jet, opens up the space over here. So then what I started doing after that is, okay, now I'm going to tag a slant on the backside of the jet. So in other words, fake the jet, fake the zone, hit the slant behind it.
Oh, nice.
So, and obviously you need have a line that's able to pull that up. But I mean, in middle school, you can just tell them to zone block that.
Okay.
Because I mean, he won't be off the line, and then typically the lineman will not be far enough upfield to be illegal man downfield on a slant like that.
All right.
It's just that quick hitting of a play that you don't have to worry about the illegal man downfield. But yeah, it was basically with quick game. It was just big on big, just vertical set for 1 or 2 seconds. Because I mean, quick game, the ball's out quick. For 4 verts, where we're telling a quarterback, you almost need to be knowing where you are going before the ball's even snapped, based on your pre-snap read. Basically, for 4 verts alone, it is a pre-snap read, and that ball is you get 1 step, and that ball should be going.
Right.
So whether you're going deep or whether you're throwing one of your choice routes, 4 verts, that ball's gone in 1 step. You're not getting your 3-step drop. Stick was our other big time quick. Those two plays right there alone were our 2 biggest plays. But stick, outside of the pre-snap vertical, if he wants to throw it, and we have that matchup, we can throw it. But otherwise, he's watching one player. And with that simple rule of, if that overhang or outside linebacker goes in, stays in with the stick, then we throw out to the running back. If he goes out with the running back, we throw into the stick, and we just tell him your eyes immediately go right there. If he does anything but stay, throw the stick. If he stays there, throw the swing.
Okay.
And so the ball's gone. The corner is a little bit longer of a developing play, but it's still quick game. But corner was one of those ones where we would just use it at certain parts of the field. Well, we can go into that stuff later, but quick game as far as pass pro is just it's big on big, just straight up vertical sets. I mean, vertical sets was all I used. I didn't do any kind of half slides or anything really any fancy. It was just basically big on big.
Okay. So running back stays in. That's the question. So do you give your kids just a playbook and say, hey, memorize these plays so your wide receivers have to know that when you call this is what route you're running, or when you call your play, do you just kind of tag it out?
No, I don't give them a playbook at all.
No,
I basically, when we install, I walk through it and say, this is your job. So for example, if I was to call, if I was calling a con, now 4 verts, that's the same on both sides.
Yes.
Unless we're in 3x1, then it changes a little bit. But like, for example, stick and corner, they have the concept side, then they have the back side. I told them right when we started out installing, I said, if you're running a concept, 4 verts is not a concept. If we're running concept, stick, corner, fade out, whatever it might be, right? Backside, you are always running slants, double slants. So slot guy would run a 1-step slant, outside guy would run a 3-step slant. And we had those slants there because basically if we got a really tight man, we would know we have a man beater on the backside, and the quarterback would have the freedom. If he saw the 1-step slant open right away, he doesn't have to throw the concept. He can throw that if he sees it open right now.
And this is only in quick game?
Only in quick game. Yeah.
Okay.
Because, your drop back pass, like your shallow cross, your wide cross, your mesh, they have concepts going on both sides. But quick game like corner, slant flat, fade out, those kind of plays, you could just run the concept to one side and have the backside be something totally different. So I just kept it at double slants. I said, when we run these few plays, you are always running double slants. So if I call stick right, which just touch the chest, then I would say, other guys, what are you guys doing? Slant. And they would be able to know right away. And my running back, I never kept my running back in for pass pro.
Okay.
I mean, he was always part of the quick game swing out of 2x2. Now, in 3x1, the rule was for when he was in 3x1, the rule was always he swings away from the trips. Always.
Okay.
The reason being is because you had that single receiver over there, and then if that corner goes with that single there, then there's all that space. So we sometimes took advantage of that. If we saw the space, we would tag it and just throw the swing, or we would give some sort of signal.
Okay.
And so me personally, I liked it to be versatile.
Right.
So I wanted to be able to run the concept either side. It didn't matter because otherwise, if we always ran the concept with the H, right, our best player, they're gonna start picking up on that, and they're gonna, good defensive coordinator, good defensive minded coach. Wait a minute here, they're always going to this guy. They're always running, So I wanted to be able to interchange and say, hey, okay, we ran over here this time. Now let's go to this side. We don't have to change anything. We can come out in straight ace, or we can come out in straight early and run it, or whatever it might be.
Right.
It would just be based on myself. That's why I wore the wristband, because I wanted to let them know I want to run stick. If I had stick, it would be, just touching my chest, and I want stick right.
Okay.
So that would know that H and X on the left side, they're running their double slants.
Okay.
And it didn't really matter. I mean, typically if I said that ace like that, the running back would already know, okay, I'm on the right side. But if we wanted to change it up, because how some defense coaches, okay, running backs on this side, that typically kind of signifies where the play would go if it's running. We could have him line up on the opposite side and just swing behind the quarterback.
Oh.
So I mean, there are little things, little nuances you can add in to make it just look a little bit different.
Okay.
And that's where me personally, that's where motion came in for us.
Okay. We'll get into that one later.
Yeah.
So running back was, because you were saying last night, and so I was thinking about this last night. So your running back, you said, was always, most of the time was just offset?
Well, offset, yeah.
Yeah, a yard and a yard. So
yep.
GT counter works, still times out right with him there?
Yeah, what he would do is just take a jab step.
Okay.
Just jab, like if he was offset right, and it was counter left, he would take a jab step right and then come back in, and basically that would give him that enough time to get in behind the guard and tackle.
Okay. So do you usually run it just in your base offense where you pull your guard and tackle, or do you, maybe if you have a second back in the backfield and then you just pull the guard and have the other back lead through?
If I was, you talking about like in blue-green formation, like the split backs?
Yeah.
What I would do there, I never really ran counter out of the 2-back set, but if I was going to do it, whatever side like say for example we're going to run counter to the right, the back on the right would probably be just a lead blocker. I would still pull the guard and tackle.
Okay.
And I would just have that would just give me that one extra guy.
Okay. All right.
He can help out with a kick out block on the defensive end, or he could be following through, being the first man through the hole. So that's how I would do it. And I never really ran counter with split backs.
Just mostly 2x2.
What's that?
Just always 2x2,
or 3x1. Yeah.
Okay.
And we would run a lot of motion away from it and jet with it. We attach jet to it as well. Jet one way, counter back the other way. So we would do a couple things like that. The only thing we really did out of 2-back set is basically we would motion H back into the backfield, and then we run a lead to him. Or we run some sort of screen to him.
Right. All right, I see. So
just trying to find different ways to hit the ball.
Huh?
We were just trying to find different ways to try and get our H the ball, because we had a real stud athlete, that year. It was good.
Okay. So yeah, speaking of screen, so tunnel screen, oval screen. What's a now screen and your pedal screen? What is
the pedal screen? Is basically just the bubble screen. That's that's the way I saw it, because you're basically just like pedaling backwards.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you teach it?
The now screen is basically just that outside receiver takes one step and then turns around and looks for the ball. Okay.
So your tunnel screens, so it's just one step, come back.
Do you want me to show you real fast?
I'm sorry, your tunnel screens?
Tunnel screens are a little bit more
is that your 3-step and then come back?
Tunnel screen is more, you're releasing linemen as well.
Oh, what's going on? Oh, okay.
I'm sharing my screen just so. He says, I'd rather just show you. So you want to talk tunnel, or you want to now screen?
I'm still trying to pick up the difference between the both of them. I know what a tunnel is, but then you say now, and is that a bubble?
Well, let's see what we got here. Let's see if I find it. So Lisa. No.
Or is that a slow screen?
Let's see. Where is not Randy? Yeah, so here it is right here. This is, well, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
All right, so on this, we call this Randy. So basically he's getting the ball, right?
Yeah.
Take one step and he's going to come back this way, right? Z going to come in here, flat for 5, block this corner, right? He's not going to run straight at the corner. He's not going to do that because he'll miss the block.
Right.
Flat for 5 right here. He's going to pick up the corner. We're going to leave this guy unblocked. So he's going to get one step, come in here, get the ball, and get back out. That's a now screen.
No screen. Okay.
Now a tunnel, same idea, right? Going to come block the corner. But now what we are doing, releasing the lineman. Okay. And these guys all block down. And again, so he's going to go pick up corner. This time what he would do is he would come and he would start running this way. So he would take 2 steps up. Now, granted, it would depend on where this corner. If this corner's down, almost like a press coverage, he would run 3 steps and then retrace back down the line. If he's soft coverage like you see right here, he's basically just going to take 1 step and then he's going to come back and retrace. Basically, he wants to retrace, allowing these 2 offensive linemen to release. Sometimes we even release the center. I can remember. But let them release and then get in behind them. And again, he's going to get the ball here, but the rule is get the ball in here and then get back out because you have no blocking right here in the middle of the field. So you constantly say get in and get back out. And that's tunnel screen. So we're essentially creating this little alleyway right here. So in now screen, the difference is we don't release the lineman. It's basically just like a one-on-one block with the slot receiver and the corner.
Okay.
Trying to just get that quick hitter. And then what we can do from there is if that corner really bites down after this, then we come block and then we tag it to a go. So the corner hitch here, real quick, hitch here to show this. That corner bites, then send it over the top.
Running back's always to your concept side for that?
It doesn't really matter. You can put him either way. We have him here and he would just swing out. He would always swing away from the screen.
Right. Okay. And like you said, backslide slants.
What's that?
Like you said, backslide is running slants.
Yeah, running slants because even though the quarterback's running the screen over here, if we have something here where there's a wide open player, like for example, if this linebacker's way over here and this corner sitting here and you have all this space right here, quarterback has the green light to throw that.
Okay.
And so really one of the biggest keys I can give you is having your quarterback get in the habit of really just, what a lot of times what you'll see is you'll see them, they get to the line and they're all jacked up, ready to go and start to play, where their eyes are not paying attention to what's going on, what the defense is doing, how they're lined up, and where he can take advantage of it. If you can get him to slow down and just really look at the defense and have him think a little bit based on what the defense is, what do I have?
Right.
Once he can slow down and process that he's got to process it quickly, obviously. But a lot of times you see those kids, they want to just immediately get into their cadence and go. And a lot of times that's where mistakes are made, or they don't see something that they could have taken advantage of. And if they just slow down a little bit, take advantage or look at it, and then they can see, okay, hey, we're running a screen over here, but the cornerback's giving me an open slant here, which is almost guaranteed 10 yards because there's nobody there.
Right. All right.
And with the running back on screens, we would just, like I said, swing him out in hopes that it just takes one of these linebackers away with him, just clears out the space. So that was our screens. I didn't really run a running back slow screen. There was a little slot screen that I can show later. Basically, we would release all 5 of these linemen straight up the field and had the slot slide in behind them.
Oh yeah, like a middle screen.
Yeah. We just wouldn't run it with the running back. A lot of times you see guys running with the running back, and it didn't for me. I didn't like it.
Right.
So
okay.
we would run with the slot receiver.
So you had tunnel and now and
now and the pedal screen or bubble screen and then the tunnel.
Okay.
And then we eventually put in that middle screen at the slot.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking those are going to probably be really good plays for me. Quick passes, kind of get the ball out and they just.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I lived in my screen game, especially early on.
Yeah, in this league, there's over here you hardly ever see any passing. Most of it is still ground and pound.
Good.
Yeah,
you'll definitely catch them off guard a little bit, especially now. Have you thought with the time we got left? Have you thought about how you want to do your play calling?
I was hoping you'd have some tips on that because I was wondering how. Because I'm thinking as far as runs, I'm thinking definitely inside zone.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do outside zone because I want to run jet, but then there's also GT counter, and I don't want to get everything muddy. But I definitely want inside zone. now screen and bubble or pedal. So definitely want that. Just like the passes, the quick game, I was thinking, stick and corner, like you said, kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, you can teach them the same day.
Yeah. Okay. So stick and corner, 4 verts, and I don't know. I don't know what the other.
Well, if you want to, I mean, I would have a drop back or 2 just to have them. I mean, I would say 70% of your offense is going to be quick game. I would say,
right.
So, but it's nice to have the drop back, just throw a little wrench into it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
As far as play calling, I mean, I don't think I can cover it all in less than 2 minutes. So that'll probably be at the, but yeah, the shallow cross is probably the best drop back. I would say the easiest to teach. I would say
shallow cross.
Yeah, that or Y cross. Those are probably the 2 easiest.
So, not mesh.
Mesh is tough. Mesh, man, and I've tried it in middle school. Yeah, I have never called it, and I never had the balls to call it in a game.
Okay.
Because I wasn't pleased with how it looked in practice. It's just it's a long developing play, and the quarterback all of a sudden forgets, since it's such a long developing play, forgets that I still have to gain depth to create space, to create time to let this play develop, and then all of a sudden they get crushed.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Yeah, so I mean, they don't realize that if my first read ain't there, I got to wait for that mesh to come around to really get that play to open up, and all the same while they're not gaining their depth, and pass rush just engulfs them.